Hey everybody, this is Rydo and we're back to Cracking the Cryptic. So last time we did a killer arrow thermal Sudoku, which was a little bit better than the killer arrow Sudoku puzzle 13. But yeah, I don't really have too much to say about it. Today we're going to do a little killer Sudoku variant, which is from Joseph Nehme, and we'll see what that's all about. If anything, I imagine this is going to perhaps appeal to me in that I'll be thinking basically in just one way on top of the classic rules of 1 through 9 needing to be in every column, every row, and every box. So killers are the cells in each cage, like, not that, but like this, must sum to the top left corner of the cage if given, and the numbers cannot be repeated inside the cage. So there has to be a combination here that adds up to 9. Little killer has a new twist on that. I'd assume would work the same way, but maybe there's something different. Digits along marked diagonal, which is this here. Well, not really that. There. It's dragging diagonally in this interface is, suffice it to say, difficult. Digits along this marked diagonal must sum to the given value given. Digits may repeat along the diagonal as long as they follow Sudoku rules. Classic Sudoku rules. So first thing to do is to probably just mark that as a diagonal so we don't have visual difficulty. Everything here is a 9, isn't it? It's just 9s in groups of 2 and then 9s in groups of 3s. And some of these killer boxes are going to overlap into this diagonal. Okay. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to use the calculator to figure out if we can select all of the 2-digit 9s on the field. No, let's just select one. So the one thing that can't be in a 2-digit is a 9. The one thing that can't be in a 3-digit is a 7 or 8. And so we are probably just going to go negative in this search. And I don't see any higher killer boxes. If 9 can't be in anything, then it probably does make the most sense to simply select every cube, every box that isn't part of a 9 group. This one seems to not have a number in it, so maybe there is a 9 in there. Let's assume that that is the case. I feel like what I would like to see here is the grid lines turned off. That would make it easier to see this. Let me see what happens if I go into the gameplay and see if I can change the note size to standard and see if that changes anything else. Does that help a little bit? Maybe? So it looks to me like that's A box, that's a box. That's a box, that's a box. That's a box, that's a box, that's a box. The problem with having so many killer boxes is that even the non-killer boxes are going to look like they could be killer boxes. Yeah, I think the first move is just to say we think that could be 9. And then there's probably a decent chance of saying we think it also could be 8. And there's a decent chance of saying I think it could be 7. So let's just do 7, 8, 9 as possibilities in all of those fields. And then what would be the next thought? I think the first thing to think here is this here can't have a 9 in it. It can't have a 7, it can't have an 8 in it. So we'll take some extra time to mark that. 7, 8, 9, not a possibility. This one, exact same situation. 7, 8, 9, not a possibility. Which then means 9 has to be in one of these boxes. And so if we could just expand this box so that it had 7 options, then you'd make a weird pairing there, and that's probably never going to happen. If a 7, 8, 9 can't happen here, and a 7, 8, 9 can't happen here, let's continue down this path since it doesn't seem like we're going to have any other options for a while. 7, 8, 9. Yeah. All the combinations still refuse to have a 7, 8, 9 in this box and in this box, which then does get us down to a solid 7, 8, 9 pairing triple. Okay. If that had been in a row, that might have helped a little bit more. Then we can select, I guess, this and these. Once again, we can mark them as not being 7, 8, 9 capable, which has a quadruple now of 7, 8, 9, which isn't as helpful. But we know that there is something here extra. Some digit extra here, and that we know this is 7 or 8 or 9, and there are no extra digits here. So how can we pair those to indicate that? It's probably easiest to just go ahead and add the other possibilities. 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1 as possibilities in that spot. Now, is there a secret on this little killer? If you go in this direction, you're not equaling 45, and obviously you can have duplicates. So the diagonal number is going to play some role in some very weird way. It's got to play some role in some weird way. these all can't be 7, 8, or 9 either. But this one here kind of has to have 7 or 8 or 9 in it. So this is your odd man out that isn't going to be a 9. I wonder if there's something about this pattern here that means something. And that can't be 7, 8, 9. 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 There's too many possibilities of 7, 8, 9s here. And once again, that doesn't narrow down the possibilities enough. So it seems like your starting spot would be here. If we looked at this combination, you have a couple possibilities with a 1, a couple possibilities with a 2, a couple possibilities with a 3, and then the odd numbers out would be 6, 5, and 4. Which tells me, and I don't have a way of really labeling this, but if I find a 6 belongs in this grouping, then the 5 has to belong in either this grouping or this grouping, and the 4 has to belong in the third grouping. So we can split things up. Since there are 3 different combinations. Same is true in this part. Maybe we should try and colorize that to mean something. Orange, just red there, orange there, and yellow there. Same color pattern, red, yellow, orange, and in this case I think colors are actually going to be helpful because the coloring will better highlight the killer boxes. So red, yellow, and then orange here. We can't really do anything with this box, and we can do something with this box, which I guess would make this red and this yellow. But I'm using a coloring system now that's completely different from what would have been the usual coloring system. Red here, and orange there. Then orange there for these 3. So this box we can't use that principle on. This box we probably can't use that principle on. Although weirdly you do see 3 boxes here. So one of these is going to have a 6 in it, and one of these is going to have a 5 in it. one of these is going to have a 4 in it. That doesn't make a lot of sense, because then this has to have a 5 or 6 and 4 here. So how could this part have a 5, a 6, or 4? Also, maybe my logic is flawed, but I don't have any better ideas, so I might as well stick with it. I think brute force entering numbers along this diagonal would be pretty useless. We might be able to, just by the sheer large number, calculate something on the diagonal. If everything here was 9 in the diagonal, we should have 81. So we know they're not all 9s. I feel like I need a calculator, but I don't think there's a calculator here that's actually going to help me. We kind of know it's not all 9s because we have at least 3 that have to be 6 or fewer. Okay. I do see something here. We have a pairing. If we are correct that 7, 8, and 9 cannot be in this box or these boxes here or these boxes here, then we have a triple of 7, 8, 9 here that we can solidify. What color will we use? It's green again. Yeah, that's the right color. Which, is there a way in which you can have 7, 8, 9 also down here? No. There's not. But we can see in this row, that should be green too, because that's 7, 8, 9. Nope. We can't label that because this might be 7, 8, 9 too. We have to eliminate something first. Same is true here. Let's look at the columns and see if we have any guaranteed triple of 7, 8, 9s. Well, we do, don't we? If 7, 8, 9 can't be here or here, then it has to be here, and it has to be here, and it has to be here. That's the only place where 7, 8, 9 can be. That then eliminates everything else except for 7, 8, 9. There. So we know more than likely the extra number is either here or here. And I guess I didn't think it all the way through because I didn't mark that one as potentially being everything. Continuing down this path, we know a 7, 8, or a 9 is going to be in one of these two places. So we can, I guess, mark it as a possibility. We don't know that a 7, 8, 9 has to be here. We don't know what has to be here. But I guess I can say at least the possibilities exist that a 7, 8, 9 is there. We have a 789 here, 789 here, and then this is possibly 789 again. So it feels like we'll probably solve all of this fairly quickly. Like once we start getting the 7s, the 8s, and 9s locked in, we're just going to have everything locked in. So then that tells me that the extras have to be here. Or the extras possibly be here. I think I may be mislabeling some things in this process. The extras might also be here. Continuing down the column. Do we have any real confirmation of anything? No. A lot of these that I've marked as 789s could just be something different. So let me just continue to check all of these out and see if there's a possibility we're able to gain any more information. Nope. I don't think we can derive much more information from this. So there must be a next step of logic to this. I'm not sure what the next step of logic would be, however, and nowhere close to anything where a basic Sudoku cycle of trying to just find the numbers would work. I don't even have to try. There is something particular about this one, that if this is 126, then we know 5 and 4 are going to be the extras. Are we certain that everything I've marked here is a group of 7, 8, 9s and nothing else? That's my question. And this one in particular is going to line up in this column in this grouping. So once we figure out this number, it should help quite a bit. And it might help unlock this also. There is seemingly no other numbers, though. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 are all possibilities. So if there had been a 9 or a 10 number special, and then if I was gonna start to mark like these 5, 6, and 4 as what to focus on. How does that help us? 4, 5, and 6. How would that help us? Whatever the number is here, that would be part of the 4, 5, 6. Would then mean that some of these don't work. It's got to be that that's the case, isn't it? There has to be a case where some of these boxes have like 1, 2, 6 here, and then 1, 3, 5 here, and then you might have a 1, 3, 5 again, or 1, 2, 6 again, or you might have 2, 3, 4, but it just won't always pair up. If anything, I would need 3 of these puzzles to every part of the killer puzzles to be inside. Can we use the secret in math to mean anything? I guess that would be an interesting question. The 9 being in this box could be subtracted from 45. If we could figure out what this number is and this number is, then we could add that. Then we would know what these 3 should add up to. This is here, and this is here, so if we could just figure out the value of this. Well, actually, we may not need to do that at all. So if we're going to say that these digits here, these 4 digits add up to what 18 minus 45 would be, which would be, let's see, not 37 but 27. Yeah, that gives you 3 combinations here, and one of them can't be 7 and 9, so that could put the 3 here, or it could be a 4 or 6, 8 here, or it could be a 5 or 6. It's not terrible to say that of the options, this one box here is either 3, 4, 5, or 6. Because then that does limit down the other 2 possibilities. And I guess the question here is to fill in the remaining of these bricks. We can see that there isn't a 1 or a 2 in there, so I guess we take the 1 and 2 out. And I guess that's all we can do, is just limit ourselves down. Well, wait a minute. We don't even have to do that much. There is... It's hard to see, but this is a killer box, which means this and this are actually just 7, 8, 9. Again, they have to be, unless my logic has completely left me. 7, 8, 9. The possible combinations of a 2 now in this section. This can't be 1, 8. Well, maybe it could have been 1, 8. Yeah, I've made a fatal flaw in my logic here. I've marked this 2 and this 2 as if it can't have an 8. I think it can have an 8. And can have a 7. It just can't have a 9. That's all we know. Then the next question is, do we have any other 2 pair here? So I might very well have already messed up horribly, just because I may have created a scenario where there's a lot of wrong information going on. Nothing stops this from being 7, 8, or it just can't be 9. What would the next possible step be then? Suppose we could goof around and try and see influence. I think we kind of know that a 1 has to be up here or here. Should we fill in things like that? No, I don't want to fill in things like that. We just kind of don't know anything about 1s. Kind of don't do anything about 2s or 3s or 4s or 5s or 6s. It's all going to be 7, 8, 9. That's absolutely all it's going to be. And this little killer twist doesn't make any sense to me at all. It just doesn't feel like anything you can even touch until much later. We could highlight this. We could put in every possibility. So at best this subtracts 6 from that. Okay, I think 30 minutes in, and I want these recordings to go faster, so 30 minutes in, I think I'm ready to try a smart hint. But I wouldn't be surprised if the smart hint straight up tells me that there's nothing I can do with their system, and that I'm going to have to use a written hint. Because it definitely feels like there's an entirely new concept here. Something we haven't seen before. I don't think 1 through 6 here and 1 through 6 here means anything. 1 through 6 here, maybe it does. If we just fill in the rest of these as possibly being 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, or 6, and then we have a 1 through 6 here and a 1 through 6 here, then you have all 6 of the digits locked in some order. Which I have no idea how that really helps me. Because this is all gonna just be modified from that, and this would modify it. Maybe you straight up are just gonna have to add 45 to this from this row and subtract it from another 45 for this row and another 45 from this row, which that's gonna be some big triple digit numbers type math if it really came to that. Smart int. A single hidden single in the row 9 can only go in row 4 at column 6. Okay. And see, that's the kind of smart hint I don't mind as much, because it literally is just all this coloring I've done has made it difficult to see. Okay. If these can't be 9 now, then that has to be 9. Which then means one of these two has to be 9. So let's go ahead and demark that 9. And does it help anything else? No. Maybe it helps here? No, in no way does that help there. So we could subtract 9 from 52, and I'm gonna straight up just pull up my cell phone's calculator app I have and just start a running count. So I don't have to do the math in my head. So that's 43. The rest of these have to sum to 43. Which 43 is 2 less than 45. If it was exactly 45, that might mean something, but let's run the calculator over here. If I had 8 digits and I was looking at 43, then I guess could fill in the rest of this with those possibilities. We know the 2 is out effectively. It's 1, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 is the only possible combination. One, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and 9 possibilities. all in those spots. I wonder if maybe there's a mathematical trick here where we could have just subtracted 50 and then we would have gotten 2. I'm not sure. Probably not. Locking that in is a good start. But I don't know what the next step would be. If we have a digit here, we could, I guess, eliminate that from being 2, 7, but it could be 2, 7 here, so we can't then guarantee that this is 7. Maybe we will in the future. So very quickly, I can see in this puzzle, I'm just going to have to fill in every single possible solution. So 1 through 6 plus 8. But this can't be 7. But this could be 2, and this could be 7. And this will be your gap filler. So I imagine we'll fill that in very much at the last second. If we knew that there couldn't be a 2 on a diagonal and then there wasn't room for a 2 anywhere else, that would lock down to a 2, but it'd be hard to get to that point. Yeah, I can't see anything. I have no clue. Let's see if a smart hint maybe enlightens me on just what I'm even supposed to be looking for. Multiple lines in columns. So look at columns. In boxes 5 and 8 and 7, which is funny that it goes backwards that way. 7, no, it's boxes 5 and 8 we're talking about. This one and this one. 7 can only go in columns 5, which is this column here, I guess, or here, or here, or columns 4, which will be here, 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 and here. Okay, in these two boxes, that's the case, which removes 7s from a candidate from being in row 1, here, row 1, column 5, row 2, column 5, row 3, column 5, which I wasn't even considering that, and then row 1, column 4, and then row 2, column 4, and then row 3, column 4, and I wasn't considering that. So remove the 7s from that spot. Which that inherently means that the 7 has to be here or here. Which is fine. I don't think that changes much. So let's just go to the next part of this hint. In boxes 5 and 8, 8 can only go in columns 5 and 4, which then again removes it as being a possibility for row 1, 2, and 3 of column 5 and 1, 2 in column 4. And it is going backwards. It's mentioning column 5 first. So that can't be an 8. Which limits us down, I think, to this being a 9. Makes this a 7-8 pair. Is that where we're going with this logic? Hidden pair. 7-8 pair at row 1, 6, and 1, 7 removes all other candidates from those cells. So remove that, make that a 7-8 pair, and because of other logic, we know that this is a 9. So I'm just gonna set that as a 9. And that'll stop the smart hint from going any further. Okay. This 9 means one of these two is 9. If this was 9, then this could be 9, or this could be 9, or this could be 9, or this could be 9. If this was 9, then this still could be 9, and this still could be 9. So I don't think that tells me enough. Does 9 do anything to this row, or anything to this row? Whoops. I just let my mouse slide down, and apparently I hit the back mouse button and it backed out, or it hit the back button. But there is no back button here, so it would have had to have been the back mouse button. It was. Okay, fine. Doesn't matter. Thank goodness the game doesn't just immediately reset you in that process. Okay. Could this be 1-8 here? Possibly. So I don't think we're at a point where this 9 would say that this has to be 8 and this has to be 7. Yeah, there's a lot more possibilities than that. E9 has to be one of these two. So we could get a hidden pair. We could just figure out if this was 7 or 8. We may not be ready to do that. I wouldn't be surprised if the next smart hint I take, which I'm just about to take, is going to point me in a completely different direction and start on narrowing down possibilities in a completely different way. There's a hidden pair, 7-8 pair at row 1, column 6, and row 7 removes all other candidates from these cells. Okay. There is a 7. Nope. That's not what I meant to do. 7, 8 in that spot when it shouldn't have been there in the first place. So we've got a pair here, which is fine. There's also a 7-8 pair at row 4. Apparently there's supposed to be a 7-8 pair here. Column 5. How does that get to a 7-8 pair? That's a possibility. Didn't we? We must have used some flawed logic. A 7-8 pair is supposed to be here. So let's add the 7 to that. And then a 7-8 pair in row 4, column 7. Okay, I see what's happening here. If we look at the row, if we can see past all the unnecessary colorfulness, let's, while we're at it, try to adjust some of that out. The only place where a 7 and an 8 can be, it can't be here, and it can't be here. So this would have been 7, 8, 9. This would have been 7, 8, 9. The 9 would have removed it. That makes a 7, 8 pair. There's still some real weirdness, though, I would say, around how this whole system kind of works, and how a hidden pair is only really a hidden pair if there can be only 2 numbers in 2 locations in a row or a column or a box. If there can be 3 numbers that have to be in 3 locations, then you have a hidden triple. And I assume the hidden modifier to describe it indicates that you wouldn't just immediately recognize that they could be only 7 8s. Unfortunately, I need to highlight some more stuff here just to keep this somewhat visually. Alright. A 7 8 pair here, I'm noticing, also eliminates 7 and 8s here. And a 7 8 pair here. Probably eliminates 3 and 6 and 4 and 5. Okay. Let's do that. 3, 6, 4, 5. 3, 6, 4, 5. 3, 6, 4, 5. Really? This is really working poorly for me. We need a 1, 2 here. The interface is working poorly. We need a 2 here, and the 7 and 8 here. Then the 1, 2 pair needs to be paired up also. And so I'm just going to use pink as a pairing. Although weirdly, pink is on top here and pink is down below here. So 1, 2 pair can tell me to get rid of 1 and 2 here. Also can eliminate 1 and 2 here. That's a possibility. So we're getting closer to finding out what this triple may be. 1 and 2. Also pair. No, I'm wrong. it can get rid of the 1 and 2 here, but it can't get rid of the 1 and 2 here. Because we only have 1 in the column. We would need both parts of the pair in the column. Yeah, it is definitely going to be a case that as I get more exhausted, I'm going to just start making dumber and dumber mistakes. Yeah, I don't think there's much more we could do. We have a 7-8 here if this is correct as a 7-8 pair, which I think it is. And I would suspect, but I don't know. We had this marked as 7-8-9, then we lost the 9. And that's how we got to a 7-8. We had this marked as a 7-8-9, and we had this marked as a 7-8-9. But there is a possibility that there are other numbers here. So let's just change this to every possible number. Okay. We're still on the smart hints, so we haven't changed enough to do what they want. They're saying that the 7-8 pair in row 4, column 5, and row 4, column 7 moves all other candidates from the cell. Then you have a naked pair, which I guess is the opposite of a hidden pair. I haven't seen anything just called a pair. The 7-8 pair in row 1, column 7, and row 4, column 7 removes 7-8 as the candidates from all other cells. We did that. Then a hidden pair, a 7-8 pair at row 6, column 3, and row 6, column 4 removes all other candidates from the cells. Which, how did we get that to that point? You would have put 7-8-9 here, here, and here as possibilities. Then 7 or 8 here eliminates enough numbers. Well, this can't be 9 either, because we already have a 9 in that. So I would have put 7-8-9 here. I would have said 7-8-9 goes here. We lost 7 and 8 because of that. That makes this probably 9. Since that's the only possibility, let's just test that. Yes. And then that creates a 7-8 pair here. Let's highlight that. Once again, there's another pair. So this is how this is going to play out, I guess, for a while at least. We know that the 9 has to play here, so that might be helpful. It might be worth it just to fill in all the possible numbers here. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and 9. Can we do anything else? 7-8 pair here, 7-8 pair here. if it was just 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 for this spot, this spot, this spot, and this spot, still wouldn't be good enough. We should have numbers here. Should be 1 or 2. Thought we had already put that in, but maybe we erased our progress at some point. So if 3, 6 then and 4, 5 are just going to show up somewhere else. This 1, 2 pair can then get rid of the 1 and the 2 possibility there. And then if we just got a little bit further in the process, do we have a 7, 8, 9 here, a 7, 8, 9 here, and a 7, 8 here that would eliminate these two? Doesn't seem like you could eliminate those two. One of those has to be 7, 8. Smart hint again. Candidate line, column, in box 3, 9 can only go down column 8, which removes 9 as a candidate from row 7, column 8, row 8 from column 8, and row 9. Okay. Let's see. Yeah. Had I just done basic Sudoku, I would have seen that, yeah, this was the only possibility. Which then means get rid of the 9s. Let's ask the same question about 8s. Not quite the same. Same questions about 7s. Not quite the 7th. Same. Again, though, I'd say that small change doesn't seem to lead to a next step. A hidden single, 9 can only go in row 7, channel 4, canal, column 4? I'm forgetting what C stands for. Right. So let's follow this logic. It says 9 can only be here, which is right. Had I labeled things correctly, that obviously can't be 9, which then means this is 9, and set that. And now would be the time to just go through all the other numbers. If there's a 1, 2 listed here, there's still a lot of possibilities of another 1, 2. And no guarantee, I think, that the 1, 2. Yeah, the 1, 2s have to be in this row. But there could be a 1 or 2 over here in the corner. Seven, 8 pair here would just remove 7 and 8s from the possibilities that they've already been removed from. And we're already to the point where smart hints can't be generated. It's going to be 7, 8, or 9. Do we have something that can jump out? Mm-hmm. We might as well look at 6s, 5s, 4s, 3s, and 2s and 1s before I inevitably just go to the written help. And I really have to question what the problem here is, other than my brain is just mush and I've just been worn down by the other puzzles, because it seems like the only strategy here is pretty obvious. It's to, by a slow process of elimination, find pairs, particularly around 7, 8s, and 9s, until you're going to fill in all of the board with 7s, 8s, and 9s, and then you probably will start to fill in the board with every single letter number, 6, 5, 4, 3, and 2, and 1, which in theory, that would be fine, but in practice, I'm finding it annoying. So ideally, what I'd like to have happen here, 65 minutes into this puzzle, is for the first written hint to send me down a better path and learn something new that I could use in future puzzles. Unfortunately, every puzzle we've done so far has had its own unique gimmick that barely translates to the next puzzle. Basic things like killer Sudoku and the secret that 45 should be the total number of the digits in a box, or in a row or column, that carries over, but that's it. So hint number 1, I think we already got. 7, 8, and 9 can only appear outside 3 cell 9 stages. These positions are known for row 1 and row 4. Yeah. Which would have been this. And row 6, which would have been this. And column 1, which is this. And column 4, which, why am I a little bit off there? Why is this not 7, 8, or 9? Column 4. I see no combinations when I click on this box. This box looks like it is in a combination. We just don't know what it is. So I feel like that's somewhat wrong, but it's, I think, telling me to remove the 7 and 8 here and assume that this is 7, 8 only. I don't know how you get to that assumption. So, I guess what you could ask is, no, that there's no way to do this. If you had 4 digits for this 4 shape, and then you just started to go through every single puzzle combination, there might really only be one puzzle combination that you can do with 4 digits. But is this really the strategy they meant for you to employ? If it is, it seems really dumb. And I don't feel like there's logic here. So the biggest number you can get with 4 digits would be 6, 7, 8, 9. We also have box 8 here. But I don't get column 4. I don't know how you are certain this is that. But whatever. Moving on to hint number 2. 7, 9 cannot be in row 2, column 7. In row 4, 9 can be placed, and coloring 7s and 8s reveals that row 7C3 here, is that it? Row 7, column 3 cannot be a 7, 8, 9. What coloring in particular proves that? How am I supposed to learn anything from that when they just say coloring 7s and 8s? There's a 7 and 8 here. There might be a 7 and 8 here. There might be a 7 and 8 here. And there could potentially be a 7 and 8 here. And yet the game is telling me, the hint is telling me, no. 7 and 8 cannot be there. You know, can't be a 7 and 8 here because we already got a pair. But there could be a 7 and 8 here. Is this taking me anywhere further, however? Can I take what I'm not really learning, which is pretty much the problem here, and apply it to anything else? If this can't be 7 and 8, then maybe this is 7 and 8, and then this has got maybe 7 and 8, and this is maybe 7 and 8 and 9, which that's still one too many. Now the type of 7 and 8 in row 5, column 1, and just highlight that in row 7, column 5, as far, far away. Row 7, column 5 must be in row 9, column 2. How? What kind of weird Y-wing is this? And what do you even mean by type? This game desperately needs a glossary. Something. Maybe that's what this video thing is about. No, that's just video settings. It's not a video to teach you how to play Sudoku, which would make a lot of sense for Cracking the Cryptic to have a link directly to his YouTube page. Although I wouldn't be surprised if Steam doesn't actually let you do that. You'd probably have to embed it. Which even that is probably fine if you did do that. But he's already making the visual content, So it would make all the sense in the world that Cracking the Cryptic at some point has made a tutorial for newbies on how to play Sudoku and how to do specific variants of Sudoku. So we're up to hint 3, and we were looking at this box, and this box. And somehow the type of 7 and 8 in this box and this box must be the same type of 7 and 8 in this box. Is that because if this is 7, then that eliminates a lot of possibilities? No, I have no clue. I have no clue at all. I don't see why this couldn't be 7 and this couldn't be 7, and then this couldn't be 7 or 8. Either one. I have no clue why this couldn't be 8 and this couldn't be 8. And this could still be anything it wants. So what am I supposed to do? Pair these in some weird way? I won't even recognize that pairing if I did that. Let's just go to the next hint. Maybe he'll explain himself better in the next hint. Each version of a 3-cell 9 cage contains 2 low numbers, 1, 2, or 3 in column 5 and column 5 and column 6. There are 2 such low numbers in each of the fully contained cages. One in row 5, column 5. Here. And the last in row 9, column 5 and 6. At what point? At what point did we add any numbers to row 9, column 5 and 6? How? It's clearly jumping over a step. The possibilities here, if this was a 7-8, would not in any way change this. I mean, if I was just let's just experiment with this, I guess, because that's the only thing I can do other than be stupefied by how incomplete these hints are. Okay, so I filled in all the possible combination numbers into this. Is there any number that would change that? No. Nothing at all. We do know that the combinations are always 2 low numbers, and so if there's a low number here and a low number here, that doesn't seem to make any sense. Let's go back one. The type of 7 and 8 here in row 5. Okay. Maybe I'm misreading this. The type of 7 and 8 that is here and that is here must also be here. So they're implying some kind of connection between these 3 digits. I don't know why. I don't know why we're even to the point where we can be certain that this is even a 7 and 8. That could be almost anything. Yeah, I'm just finding this incredibly frustrating. And we're at this barrier now where if I go further, where was I? If we go further, then I'm still just gonna not understand it. I mean, I may straight up just have to brute force guess it. Before we do that, though, let's just fill in every single possibility in the remaining spots. If we have an empty spot, we might as well fill it in. Oh, I made another mistake here. This is only a 2 spot, so there could be a 7 or an 8. There just can't be a 9 there. Which maybe that gets closer to a 7 and an 8 and a 9 here. It does. Which makes me think that that's a secret triple. Then that means that should eliminate all the other possibilities. Maybe that will turn out to be somewhat helpful. This little killer diagonal, I think, is going to be absolutely worthless. And maybe is needed at the last second to solve one decision. In a lot of ways, I guess this isn't too far away from just having a killer diagonal instead of a diagonal sandwich. Maybe not that big of a difference otherwise. Four, 5, 6. No 4s in that spot. If this is 7, 8, 9. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. There are 4s. A 2-piece here. I have no idea. 3, 6, 4, 5. At least we have numbers in this spot now. But yeah, we don't have anything still that would get to this level of the hint where it says the type of 7 and 8 in row 5, channel 1, and then row 7, channel 5. Why does this keep sending me to different places in hint number 3? Is it just glitched and randomizing the locations? This is row 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Column 1. And then row 6, row 7, column 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It's just my brain. That's the problem. And then that gets you to row. This row. It's supposed to be connecting those two. Still no reason whatsoever to believe this is a 7-8 though. I mean, you have the possibility of a 7-8-9 here, and a 7-8-9 here, and a 7-8-9 here, and a 7-8-9 here. And I don't see any reason why one of these would be eliminated as a possibility. Let's just keep on looking. Take this one and this one. That won't work. One, 2, 6, 3, 5, 4. So we're filling in the boxes as possibilities. It's just like we're not anywhere closer. I've hit enough speed bumps in this process too, covering this game, playing different puzzles, that it does really at this point highlight that there's a real poorly designed concept here. There's basically nobody other than Cracking the Cryptic, maybe 10-20 other people, that would have been able to solve all these other puzzles and would have even known all the strategies for all these other puzzles. And inherently he's got a community of fans that are making new puzzles, so he's falling deeper and deeper into a world of his own creation as they make more and more variants that may, I would assume, be exclusive to Cracking the Cryptic in his app games, to the point where at some point they may release something called Sudoku that's completely unrecognizable from Sudoku. This is pretty unrecognizable from classic Sudoku already. Didn't we figure out that a 2 couldn't be in the match? I think we did calculate that. So I'm going to test that thought and just mark that as a 1. Then if that's a 1, the other one has to be an 8, which makes that a 7. And I'm wrong. Which makes that's not a pair. Which makes that a 7. So how could we have determined that this was not 7, 8, or 9? I have no idea, but frankly I also don't care. I guess what we probably would have done is come over here, filled in that 7, and filled in that 8, which then would have probably eliminated some possibilities over here. And I don't think we really have to do secret math or anything else. I think we can just assume that that 8 is correct. And this 9 may be correct. Let's just gamble. Let's just gamble and see how it goes. You could do math, certainly. This yellow shouldn't have been yellow background anyways. This should have been a 2 pair. Let's see if this is right. 7 and 2. 8 and 7. Anything else we can fill in? Are the possible combinations on these, could they be 2? Have 2 in them? Yes, they could. So we have a 7, a 9 and a 7 here, blocking off 9s and 7s here. You have a 7 or a 9 blocking off this. That still does not make any sense as far as a Y-wing connector. Could we see if maybe a smart hint can help us? 7 can only go in row 5, column 1 in box 4. So 7 can't be here, and 7 can't be here, because the rules stated numbers cannot be repeated inside the cage. And we already knew 7 couldn't be here and 7 couldn't be here, so as soon as we put a 7 here, that had to be 7. I would have struggled to figure that out, but let's see if that information can help me somewhere else. Is there something more to this that we could learn? This says this is 9, and that forces that to be 9. Of the possibilities here, we were gonna do, don't have anything that has 7 in the name, so we could have a 2 either here or a 2 here, but not both, which maybe gives you a pair where you could remove the 2 2s from that spot. don't think that's very helpful though. Honestly, don't think I can do anything else. I thought that might have been part of the solution. The 7, 8, and the 9 here, which we could decolor. De-emphasize that. Then we have a 7 and an 8 and a 9 here, which means that was wrong. What are the possible combinations here? Couldn't be 2, 7. That's basically all I can remove. Maybe decolor this so we can have a better vision. Should be a 7 and 8 and a 9 in this row, correct? So this should be 8. Which this can't be 8, and this can't be 8, and this can't be 8, and these can't be 8, so that's an 8. There. Weirdly, we're gonna potentially finish the whole puzzle with maybe some just basic Sudoku. But I definitely won't be satisfied with it. I'm definitely feeling like this one really struggled to get me on board, or really failed to get me on board with what it wanted to do. There we have all the 8s done, which makes the 7-9 pair here. Which I don't know why this is pink per se like that. It really should be green if I was using my coloring system correctly. We could probably subtract the remaining digits into this to get the combination correctly, but it might be better just to wait until we get 2 more on this side, or these 3 done, to do that for this diagonal little killer. It's funny this is called the little killer anyways, instead of, I don't know what you'd call it, maybe a bishop, diagonal movement, diagonal killer. I think the killer name in particular for the variant is a terrible name for what it is. You would think that a killer variant would be like number 1 always kills number 2 if it's next to it, so 1 and 2 can never be next to each other, or the numbers can't be consecutive in any part. I guess it's nice that we haven't run into any more entropy puzzles, because that concept also threw my head for a spin. And yeah, maybe if I had more practice with it, I could get better at it, but that's true for any variant. Let's ask another smart int. There's a hidden single in column 7. No. 7 can only go on row 8, column 9. Let's see if we're correct here. 7 can't be here. For some reason they're saying 7 can't be here. For some reason they're saying, no, this isn't column 9. Looking at this. 7 can't be here, 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 here. That makes sense. Then this is 8. Then 7 can't be here, here, and here. Alright, I see it now. And then that eliminates all those problems. Doesn't go any further than that, no. But let's see if we can just look at all the Sudoku numbers and see if there's a possible solution here. Could a 1 be here? I don't see why not. Could a 1 be here? I don't see why not. Nope, 1 can't be here. Could a 1 be here? Doesn't seem like it could be, but I don't really see a reason why it couldn't. I think this 9 is wrong. Just test it. Yeah, the 9 is wrong. Do we have anything we're certain of? Anything at all? I don't see anything in the columns that I'd be certain of. I don't see anything in the rows that I'd be certain of. Where are we on the regular hints, too? We made it to hint 3. Nines can be placed by coloring, placed in coloring 7s and 8s. Which maybe I'm supposed to be coloring individual numbers as their own individual colors. Maybe that's why my brain's not working with the program as well as it should. So maybe there is some kind of coloring here where it somehow would have revealed that would have revealed that this has to be the same as that. The step before hint 3 was that row 7, column 3 here cannot be 7, 8, or 9. Which I don't see how that connects to this step at all. Now the type of 7/8 in row 5, column 1, and row 7, column 5, must be the same type as this. That did turn out to be true, but I have no mental way of explaining how that worked. See if we maybe could clean up the background colors a little bit. Could this be a 9 and a 7 would be here? Yeah, very possibly. Let's see. Yeah, and very little chance we could just, by basic Sudoku, solve any number other than 7, 8, or 9. Just every possibility has been marked. Well, but 9 has to be here, and we know a 9 can't be here because we already tested that and found that to be wrong. We do know, technically, that the 9 is here, but we don't have a logical reason to know that. We just cheated to know that. The next hint was each version of a 3-cell 9 cage contains 2 low numbers. So, therefore, in column 5 and 6, there are 2 such low numbers in each of the fully contained cages. Fully contained, I imagine, means that they have to be in the box. So one low number would have been the 1 here for the 8 and 1. And then the other low number for the possible combinations of this 3 would have to be either 2 or 3. Just has to be a 2 or 3 in any combination here. So then that leads to what? 1 is in row 5, column 5, and the last is in row 9, column 5 or 6. And I don't follow the logic fully there, that we know one of the low numbers is here in this spot. Row 2 and 3 must now form a 4, 5, 6. And no, this isn't helping me at all. This is not helping me at all. I'm so off the rails. What they're telling me is making no sense. Let's try some smart hints to just get back on track, hopefully. Probably not even going to accomplish that. The killer Audi, the column, I guess, column 9 has Audis at row 1, column 8. There's an Audi here, and row 6, column 8. Here. And row 4, column 8. Okay. So why are these considered Audis in the first place? And why must these add up to 6? What math are we doing? Or are we supposed to have just already solved so much of the rest of this puzzle that you could have just subtracted from 45 to figure out what this number was and what this number is and what this number is. Why do they have to sum this 6? Anyways. None of it makes any sense. What strategy are you even employing here that you came to the conclusion that this, and this have to somehow sum the 6? Still, it's too easy to click the pause button. To wonder, if we could move some things to the right. Flip number pad layout to flipped. Flip traditional layout to flipped. Let's see what that looks like. The pause, the gears, and the question mark are still in the same place. The only difference now is the 1 is here. Which this would be more in character with the number pad. Eraser in number pad mode is bottom left under 9. Flip number pad layout back to normal. That does that. How do you move the pause button and the gears to the right? Though, that would be helpful. Yeah, it doesn't seem like you can tweak that, so there's always room for more adaptation. I guess you could go with this. I don't think for a second I would want to play it like this, although it does move the pause button kind of out of the way. It makes the whole puzzle way smaller. And yeah, clearly I'm more interested in playing with the interface than I am even trying to solve this. Okay, whatever. We just gotta keep making progress, or I'm gonna just have to rage quit this game series. So it's weird, you go to the menu and you lose the multi-select. They're saying 4, 5, and 6 can't be this number. I have no idea why that is the case, but we'll believe them. Let's move forward. That makes a naked pair of a 1, 3 in row 4, column 8, and in row 6, column 8. Then, yes, I could have figured that one out. Gotten rid of the 1, 3 there, which then inherently makes this a 4, 5, 6 triple, which maybe doesn't help too much. Then in box 6, 1 can only go in column 8, which removes 1 from being here, 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 or here. I see that. So before we click next, is there now something we could go further with this idea? If we have a 1, 3 pair, the same concept with the 3s should be true. So then if my preparation was done correctly, which it probably wasn't, this should be a 2. Okay. Yay. we got a 2. Now, I guess a 2 can't be here and a 2 can't be here, so then that's got to be a 2. And then just don't have any numbers filled in at all. So I don't know if a 2 could be here. I guess a 2 can't be here. Let's look at the possible combinations on this. Was there a reason why we eliminated 2 from being in this spot? Yeah, not for the second that I'm willing to give it a look at. None of the cells in the cage at row 5, column 6. None of the cells here can be 1, which means the cage cannot be 1, 2, 6, or 1 through 5, removing the 5 and the 6 as possibilities from the cage. Okay. Doesn't that inherently mean that this has to be a 5, 6? Which then means this has to be 5 or 6. Let's look at the possible combinations here. If 5 and 6 are involved, number 1 is going to be involved, and then either a 2 or 3. Just give me the next hint. Hidden pair. A 5-6 pair in row 4, column 4. In row 5, column 4 removes all other candidates from the cell. We got that. In box 5, 2s can only go in row 6. Okay. I guess we eliminated the possibility of a 2 here at some point, which moves 2s as a candidate for row 6, column 1, and column 2. How? In box 5, 2 can only go in row 6. Okay. And because of that, that removes 2 for some reason from this spot and this spot. How? I mean, I'm half asleep at this point, I have to admit. And I am cracking up mentally at this point from this. But if there is any sanity left in my brain, is this not a directly contradictory statement? In box 5, let's make sure we're looking at box 5. Box 5. The number 2 can only go in row 6, which would be this row. 2 can only go here. I agree with that to some extent. I'm not 100% sure at what point we decided 2 can't be here, but whatever. We know the 2 is blocking these 2. That makes logical sense. But then, because 2 can only be in effectively these 3 places, because of that, 2 can't be here, which I don't get, and it can't be here, which I don't get. Yeah, this is wrong. It's got to be wrong. It almost certainly was supposed to be that because a 2 can only be here, it removes a 2 from being here, which would be row 3, column 4, and here, which would be row 4, or row 4, column 4, and row 5, column 4. That would make sense. No, I've just lost it, haven't I? That's not what he's saying at all. It's saying these 2 spots. 2s can't be here, and that makes all the sense in the world. But I don't have any numbers in that spots anyways. Never even filled in that box. And once again, I'm being punished for my own stupidity by not filling in the boxes. Before I started hitting any hints, I should have just filled in every single freaking number into every single cube. Even if they're the wrong numbers as possibilities, I should have pencil marked everything. So yeah, and let's just correct that mistake. Then possible combinations here are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and then we happen to know that 2 and 3 are not available, so that should be 1, 5, 6, 1, 4, 5, 6. And we might as well take my advice to the next level and just fill in every single number that it could possibly be there. So then the next part of this, an impossible killer combination. None of the cells in the cage at row 6, column 1, this one, can be 2. This can't be 2 because of this 2. I see. Removing, which means the cage cannot be 1, 2, 6 or 2, 3, 4, removing 4, 6 as possibilities from the cells in the cage. Okay. See, I just filled that in. Alright, well then I might be able to solve the rest of this myself by saying if this is a 1, 5 pair, then that can't be 5. And then inherently it looks like I can't have a 6 in either of these, or I mislabeled it. If I can't have a 6 in these because of the 5, 6 here, then that's got to be a 6. Let's see if we're right. Yep. Can we get back on the rails at this spot? I doubt it. Seriously doubt it. 5, 6 means I could select at least these and get rid of the 5 and the 6. 7, 9 pair. That doesn't change anything. This combination here, we have a 1, 6, 2, makes this have to be a 1. And then it broke this in some way. Because by solving that, there is gotta be something else. You know, it can't be 6. So it's gotta be 5 and 4. Okay. If this is 4 and 5, then that should make that be a 4. Let's test and see if that's right. Nope. So that's not 4 and 5. 1, 3, 5. It's gotta be a 3. Doesn't it? One of these two has to be a 3. Which then has to eliminate these 3s. Which then, if that's correct, means that's a 3. What's the next possibility? I guess this has to be a 3. And then that gives you a 4-5 parity here. What is the next thing? Can we really find it on our own, or are we gonna just have to lean on the crutch of a hint again? I guess the good news is my frustration level is just so high now in these puzzles that even what we may just finish them in a more reasonable time. Although 120 minutes is still 2 hours, so I'd have to be a lot faster about using the hints. So Killer Audi says that row 6 has at row 6 has an Audi at row 7, column 1, which must be 1. Yeah. I guess I see that because you can't have a 1 here and it's 1, 3, 5. Though I don't know if that really should be considered an Audi. Or I really don't know if I like that phrase. I don't think I do. Okay, so we have a 3-5 pair here. And we have 3 places where 3 could be here, and 4 places where 4, 5, 6 could be here. It doesn't seem like there's room for a real solution up here. You would just try to lean on your basic Sudoku. You could say, well, that's not a 1. Nope, I can't even do that because this could be a 1. You could say these two aren't 1s. I could say we need a 1 in this row. And somehow we don't have anything marked as being able to have a 1. I screwed this up I screwed this up really bad because I filled these possibilities with just 4, 5, 6s instead of filling them up with every single possibility. It really is just a case where one mistake in the beginning will set you down a path of just total failure. And Cracking the Cryptics app is a little bit better about telling you that when you make a mistake by locking in something, but it's not going to tell you if you make a mistake with the pencil marks. That would make the game perhaps as easy as I would really like it to be, but we could see maybe if we could highlight matching numbers. Display X in a cell noted in empty cells only. Empty cells only always. Highlight errors, all errors. Yeah. We already have all errors highlighted. So impossible killer combinations, none of the cells in the cage at row 3, column 9 can be 2, which means the cage cannot be 2, 3, 4, removing the 4, which then, yeah, makes this 4, and then makes this 1. Half of the smart hints that I'm getting around these killer puzzles, though, are simply because the combinations are hidden behind the help. So it's just easier to ask for a hint because I have no idea where the hint will take me than it is to double check to make sure I haven't reduced the possible combinations down. This has to be 2, 3, 4, so we can mark that. This is a 5, 6 pair, which then removes this from being 5, 6. Is this correct that this is a 6? Looks like it is. 7, 9 pair. Is this correct that this is a 5? Yep, then that gives us a 6, 9 pair here. So we've got a whole box done. We've got one number done, and still I feel just as lost now as I did 30, 40 minutes ago. And frankly, near the beginning of this puzzle. And I was thinking that just killer variants would let me just deep dive into the concept of killers, and it would be an easy solution to find one that would lead to the solution of the next. And there's just enough classic Sudoku and little killer Sudoku playing a role here that that's not really happening. Also, though, it's fair to say that in trying to record all of these episodes, I'm just exhausting myself mentally, having to take extra breaks, and even taking extra breaks is not refreshing my mind. Usually, to refresh my mind, I need to play a completely different kind of game, and usually wait a significant amount of time. Let's just go with this. Smart int. Row 3, column 4 is the only place. Oh, can only be a 2. Again, because of the combinations. It's 2, 6. It can't be a 1. Okay. Which means this is a 1. Then something is wrong here in this combination. If this has a 4 in it, it has to be 2, 3, 4. And it can't be 3 here. So this has to be 3 there. These two have to be either 2 or 4. What's crazy is my strategy and thought that the odd numbers out would somehow determine the order of the others. It seems completely wrong. So all this extra coloring I wasted time on, it feels. I'm frankly a little disappointed that that strategy didn't pay off at least once. Let's just get rid of all the shading then as we fill in killer boxes. Yeah, taking a little bit of a break here to fill in the killer boxes, or get rid of the coloring, I guess. Is there a real solution that I can do that would help me in some other way? If we look at just basic Sudoku rules, yeah, this has to be 1, so we remove 1 from there. The possible combinations now are 2, 3, 4, or 1, 3, 5. Nope. I don't think. I think it's 2, 3, 4, but I'm not 100% certain. This can't be 2 because there's a 2 here. This can seemingly be 3. Can't be 5. And maybe it could be 4. And it can't be 1 for some reason. When it probably has to be 1. Yeah, just give me a hint. Let's just see what the next step is. In boxes 2 and 3, 6 can only go in row. Let's see. Rows 2 and 3. So look at the 6s. 6 can only go here and here, which removes 6 from a candidate from this spot, and this spot, and this spot if there was a 6 there. Okay. So that's just basic Sudoku. So maybe there's some other basic Sudoku. If 3 can only be here, then this cannot be 3. 4, 5. Feels like 5 shouldn't be here, but it's possible, I guess. 6s, back to 6s. 7s. And then 9s. Suppose we're in a weird situation here. A significant portion of gamers don't ever make it to the credits of video games. But in a Sudoku puzzle game, it's not really even expected that you would finish all the puzzles and that would be the requirement to see credits. But I would imagine puzzle players always want to leave a little bit more for later and wouldn't just inherently try and rush and solve all the Sudoku puzzles. But in fairness to that thought's probably not that valid, because I have pretty much finished all the puzzle games I've played, and a lot of puzzle games that aren't just single screen Unity puzzle games have fairly limited number of puzzles, or they go on forever with an infinite mode. Hexcells Hexcells Infinite in particular has like 200 puzzles in it that are very doable. Takes a while, but Hexcells falls into a Minesweeper style of solving puzzles where it becomes pretty easy, pretty mindless. There's a hidden single. 6 can only go in row 1, column 1. 6 can only go here. How? How did we get to the point where we decided 6 couldn't be here and 6 couldn't be here? I guess it's because 6 has to be here, or here, or here, or here. Either way, it eliminates that. Well, then that means this has to be 1. Nope. I'm wrong about that. But this can't be 1. Let's just take a step back and look at the combinations possible here. 2, 3, 4 is not a possibility. It's got to be 1, 2, 6. Can the 1 be here? Yes, because it is there. Which means that was wrong. So that's just another reason. What was the combination? This should have been 2, 3, 4. You really just cannot afford to make any mistakes in the setup. In particular, you still can't really recover from Sudoku in Sudoku if you make a mistake. And you really can't afford to commit that much time to a potential failure if you make a mistake. That's another issue. Guess if this is correct, this has to be 5. So that makes a 3-4 pair. Trying to see if there's a number that we could continue down this path. Can't have a 1 here, can't have a 1 here. That's got to be a 1. Should be close to being done with the 1s. Not yet. if the only 2 can be here, then that's going to be a 2. Three. Four. 5. 6. Yeah. I guess I also haven't said it out loud yet so far, but I'm finding it fairly annoying how much I'm counting numbers off. This really is very Sesame Street as a series, just saying all the numbers over and over again. What's the possible combination here? We have a 1 and a 5, so this has to be a 3. Okay. That makes that have to be a 4. Which then makes this a still confusing mess. 3 should be an option in these, but not here. Inherently, what I'd like the game to do is if it knows I clicked a button that was the number 3 and it knows it's going to mark it as an error, maybe you should just assume that I meant to remove that number, or make me right click to remove numbers and left click to click instead of just left click to toggle. That would be fine too. I guess we can experiment to make sure it doesn't actually work that way before I start complaining. Here we have a 5, 6. If I right click here and I right click here, nothing happens. Yep. So if I could right click, or even as an alternate input, if right clicking meant that the number was always removed, that would speed up the process. Basically the right click's not doing anything. I can hover over numbers, I guess, and right click to erase them. But that wouldn't work if I'm just trying to get rid of the 5. And I guess the question is, if I drag my mouse, will it erase a bunch? No, it won't. At least that's good. This has to be 4. Guess this has to be 3. Four. What are the possible combinations here? 4, 5. Since we know 3 can't be here, so these 2 can't be 6. Which then makes that 6. Which then makes that 5. So it seems like maybe, just maybe, I'll be able to crawl over the crossing line with this puzzle on my own momentum without having to follow all the hints all the way down. And it is very much just building up from previous puzzles in a weird way too, because I'm consciously forgetting my experiences pretty instantaneously after I've solved the puzzle, but subconsciously I do have this like growing frustration in my guts as soon as I run into a new problem on a new puzzle, it just kind of, the frustration comes rolling back, flooding back, I suppose. Which maybe means that there might be room to learn better stress reduction mechanisms. Although frankly you shouldn't be stressed or frustrated with a video game in the first place. And yeah, that is certainly damning about this. You just ask too much. That Cracking the Cryptic does. It just asks way too much. Okay, let's see what the combinations are here. If we have 2 and 4, then that has to be a 3. There. Okay. And this is filled in so we can get rid of that highlight too. Like I have no clue as to what the deal is here with this. We've got 3 digits. Now let's bring up the calculator. With 3 digits, we have 10 here, 20 when you add those two, and then a 35 when you add those two. 35 minus 52 should give you 17. So what are the combinations of making 17? We know 1 is not involved. It is 7, 6, and 4 or 5. So we know 2 is not involved. In fact, we know 2 wasn't involved in the whole situation. Arguably, maybe if we had found that 2 wasn't involved in the first place, we could have potentially looked, when we had even our first digit locked in on this diagonal, we could have used this calculator to then potentially lock in another digit, and then another, and another, and it might just recursively have worked all the way downward. 3 is not a possibility. 3 is not a possibility. So it's either 3, 5, 8, which it isn't. So I've done something wrong here. 17 plus 35 should be 52. I see 3 digits. So something's wrong here in this diagonal. I should be able to make a 4, 5, 8 or 4, 6, 7, but maybe there's another combination with repeated numbers. But what could the repeated numbers even be? If this is correct and this is a 7 or 9, then this is correct that this is a 4 and 6. And if this is correct that this could be a 4 or 5 or 6. Yeah. So that's not helping me any. I thought maybe we'd figure something out there. Let's look at the possible combinations here. It pretty much has to be 1, 3, 5. Yeah, we don't have a 2, which would eliminate this one and this one. So then that makes that a 1. Then that makes that a 4. And that a 3. I have a 5, 6, and a 7, 9 pair. Let's look at the possible combinations here. You have a 1, a 2, and a 6 as a possibility. But you couldn't do 1, 3, 5 because we don't have a 3. Can't have a 3 in that, and you can't do 2, 3, 4, so it's got to be 1, 2, 6. Which means that's a 1, that's a 2, and that's a 6. And let's go ahead and get rid of the highlighting. That highlighting, all that color for no help at all. Even the green coloring when we knew it was a 7, 8, 9 pair or trio. Even that not helpful. In the later part of the game at least. I guess that means this is a 4. Which I guess means this is a 5. So I guess means this is a 6. So we could ask something really stupid here. If we have 1 digit and we have 18 here plus 17 here, which would be 35, plus another 10, which would be 45. Subtract that from 52 for 12. Subtract 45 from 52 for 7. How do we reach 7 with 1 digit? A 7. See, that's exactly what I thought was going to happen here. Is that this little killer may solve the very last number and be useless for the entirety of the rest of the gameplay. And let me just see if I can prove that theory completely now by filling in these other possibilities. First, by just basic Sudoku. And we've got a couple more numbers done and a couple more boxes done, and there's just nothing I can be proud of, so I'm not even really recognizing it. So we have all 3 of these boxes done, all 3 of these boxes done, this whole box done, this 4, if correct, leaves us here, and then you have a 7, 9 here, and a 7, 9 here. So we can highlight, I guess that. And that's the entire trick. There. That's the whole point of this little killer Sudoku, is to have to use this part to figure out that that's a 7. Then because this is a 7, that can't be a 7, this has to be a 7, and that's a 9, or that's a 9. Otherwise, what you would do, particularly with the digital version of the game, is you would just try 1 and see if the game says it was correct or not. Technically, if you were doing this on paper, both solutions would be correct. Let's go ahead and get rid of this background. The background there, drawing the diagonal line very much helped. There's just no way I would have consistently been able to visualize the diagonal numbers. But what I've learned from this puzzle, the first time ever doing a little killer Sudoku, is probably that you don't even need to look at this as a hint because it's not going to be helpful until the very end. So you've introduced a new concept, and in this new concept, you've encouraged the player to assume that it's pretty low value as a concept. Instead of making it be the big value. I suppose another way I'd try to make a twist on Sudoku might be a way of eliminating numbers. You could probably have a variant of that where if you figure out what the center number is in a box, then that central number in that box will not appear in the rest of the box, or it will just automatically digitally fill in the rest of the locations where it would be. Yeah, you could definitely have a magical interface in a video game where the events are kind of randomized and change. Yeah. You could certainly program the game too, if you're going to have magical events, to take pity on the player every now and then and give them a free hint or help them solve a puzzle. Make it so they never get stuck and end up spending 158 minutes doing a puzzle only to really heavily have to lean on the hints and smart hints. So I don't even know how far we got with this as far as concepts go. We probably got about to this point where I got confused and still don't know how this number, and this number somehow have to be all the same. It's not explained. Let's see. And we're at the end of the puzzle now, so this text. Row 8, column 2. Here. And row 3, column 7. Must contain minima in its remaining cells. No, are 6. The sentence is, those two are 6. And now the 52 diagonal must contain minima in its remaining cells. 4s are in row 1, column 9, and row 7, column. Wait, I'm losing my place here. 3. 7s are in row 2, column 8. And row 6, column 4. And 1s are in row, and 1 is in row 5, column 5, allowing the puzzle to be completed. So there's some kind of pattern here. It kind of looks like on the diagonal. There's a lot of numbers that aren't on the diagonal. And then there was 2 4s. Is there some mathematical reason though? And this is again where the hints aren't explaining that. If there was a mathematical reason why the 4 had to be here and the 4 had to be here, or why so many numbers aren't on the line, Whether the 6 had to be here and the 6 had to be here. Whether the 7 was here and the 7 was here, which I guess that probably breaks the pattern quite a bit. Anyways, I guess those are the hints. I don't even know what minima, what they mean by that. Minima might mean the remaining numbers, or might mean something completely different. This game desperately needs a dictionary. It desperately needs a dictionary to explain the terms. Anyways, I guess that's puzzle 15. So we're at this problem now. Puzzle 15 took 161 minutes and it drove me mad. Puzzle 14 probably pissed me off too. Puzzle 13 definitely was the tipping point that irritated me. I still have no idea how this puzzle was even solved. But in between puzzle 13, 14, and 15, we've run into a puzzle that had elements that I would have never thought of, and a puzzle that, even though I generally knew what the solution was, still I found incredibly frustrating. And it's only going to get worse with a puzzle 16 having the same difficulty as puzzle 15 and puzzle 17 having the same difficulty, but then puzzle 18, 19, and 20 having one more star of difficulty, and puzzle 21, 22, and 23 having some major difficulty. So I gotta call an audible here. Either I'm gonna rage quit, or I need to take a bit of a break from the difficult puzzles, and let's do puzzle 1 sandwich Sudoku next time. Just something that should be fairly simple and shouldn't take that long. That's my plan. Yeah, that's gonna be my plan. And that's gonna be it for this recording. As always, I ask you to like, share, subscribe, comment, and watch every second of my videos. Thank you for watching. Have a good evening.